Hello everyone, I'm your host from Research Update Organization and you are watching the video series of clinical research education. You can join our Facebook group and you can subscribe our YouTube channel for the latest update. Also you can join our Telegram app, which is Q&A Research Interest Group. We will start our session soon. We also covered a little bit about manuscript structuring, what are the fundamental anatomy of the manuscript, how it should look like before it's submitted. So not only research is important, but also preparing the cover letter for editor, title page, abstract, the important findings of your study, those things you need to put it, and introduction and so on. So every single part of what you can see on your screen is important and crucial, and one by one we will be covering each topic in independent individual sessions. As you remember, last time we had cover letter. If someone is here new, then we will share the link with you so that you can go and watch those videos too. We had cover letter, how cover letter should look like, what are the contents of the cover letter. We covered that part. Similarly, title page, how title page should look like, what are the bullet points you need to cover in the title page. Those few things we also cover. And finally, if I'm not wrong, we cover the authorship criteria. We cover how abstract look like. Abstract, let me just quickly tell you a few things about abstract. Abstract are the writing skill of abstract different from different point of view or different type of research. Let's say, for example, abstract for the original article is different than abstract for the literature review. Basically, we divide into structured abstract and non-structured abstract, and structured abstracts are also of two types: standard format of structured abstract and some specific journal related structured abstract. Those things we also cover in the previous session. After you finish your project, you have to prepare your highlights. That is also something we cover. If you want to have specific session besides the last time what we cover, let me know. We'll plan exclusive session on small topics too. So today, if I'm not wrong, I remember that today we need to cover the introduction part. So when we will start, basically observational study or literature review or systematic review, we will talk about how different introduction should look like for example the content of the introduction. But here we are covering overall idea of introduction, how usually people write introduction, what are the mistakes they are committing, what are the mistakes you should refrain from. Now, first important point, introduction is one of the very small, a little bit important but not that great important section of the manuscript. Okay, so you need to be very brief. You should not waste extra space on introduction if it is not required, because if you are submitting in a brief article or in a research letter, or in that case you are not going to get a chance to have more than 100 word. 100 word is like less than 6 or 7 line. Aims and objective will cover 3 line out of it, right? So if it's a huge study, if it's an original full length article, then probably you can think about spending your 200 to 300 words of introduction, right? But most important point is it should be very brief. If it is not required, something is not required there, you should not cover there, right? So number one, it should be very brief. Now, for the purpose of the ease, I'm dividing the introduction into 3 different categories or 3 different paragraphs. Paragraph number 1, paragraph number 2, and paragraph number 3. You do not need to write anything more than 3 paragraphs. Right now, what will be there in paragraph number 1? So paragraph number 1 of the introduction, I usually recommend people, if they are looking for proper introduction, then write something about burden of the disease. Let's say I'm writing here burden of the disease. Let's say you are doing some study on some from ethnicity and cardiovascular risk factor, then you need to identify what is the burden of the disease from previously published the data. That is the number one. Now what could be the burden? Burden could be the incidence, burden could be the cost of the care, burden could be the global burden. I'm dividing into different category how you can what you can write. Basically global burden could be the local burden. So different type of burden in terms of dollar, in terms of percentage, in terms of hospital utilization, in terms of hospital utilization, anything could be the burden basically. So burden of the disease is something you will be writing in first 3, 4, 5 line. 3 line is good. It should not be very elaborative, right? Now from where you can find out this burden? So you can find out this burden from either CDC data or WHO data or local data. If you are finding out, if you wish to find out COVID burden, let's say CDC is having it, but Johns Hopkins COVID Research Center is having more intensive idea about, or sorry, the numbers about burden of the disease. So different websites are there that could be a potential source to understand the burden of the disease. And number two, previously published data. So you can write something that XYZ study on 10,000 population suggested or mention or describe the prevalence of X community, prevalence of cardiovascular disease or XYZ disease in X communities this much, which is higher than usual percentage or prevalence or incidence or whatever. So you can write anything like that from previously published data. So basically what could be the burden? Incidence or prevalence percentage, cost, global or local burden, hospitalization, utilization, anything is something you can give the numbers basically. So 1 or 2 line of for numbers are good, or maybe 3 line on numbers are very good. So that will be your paragraph number 1, and section number 1 of that paragraph. Just the numbers, bombard with the number, because ultimately you are showing them why you are doing study. In that case, if you do not know the numbers, we can tell it epidemiology. We tell it we name it as epidemiology. So if you don't know the epidemiology of something, then there is no meaning of creating new hypothesis. Make sense? So number one, paragraph number 1, the point number 1 is the burden of the disease. Now paragraph number 1 and point number 2, here we cover data from these institutes as well as data from previously published study. Now point number 2, let's say if you are doing some particular studies in which you are evaluating some micro effect like pathogenesis or genetic effect or something else, then you can emphasize more on pathophysiology, or maybe you can emphasize more on genetics, or maybe you can emphasize more on particular, I'm writing here the word particular content related to your field of research. So for example, if I'm evaluating the effect of vascular events among COVID, for example, then I need to think about how, number 1, not think about, I have to collect the literature and put it in 2-3 lines, how COVID directly make the changes in vessel, how COVID increase the inflammatory biomarker, which will lead to change in the vessel wall biology, right? So this is something 1 or 2 line on such pathophysiology, genetics, or that particular mechanism of action is good to write, but that could not cover more than 1 paragraph. So 1 paragraph is the detail on previously published information, the detail which is available in the market. The detail could be books, detail could be sites, detail could be previously published manuscript, previously published manuscript, previously published abstracts may be good source, may not be good source, depend on the journal. They might accept, might not accept, but these things they will definitely accept: chapters, books, sites, and stuff. We will cover in future how to cite this introduction, discussion, and all other thing using Mendeley software. We'll cover that part later on. But majority we are today focusing on just introduction part. This is paragraph number 1. Now paragraph number 2. Paragraph number 2 is focusing on what information is missing. What information is missing in that studies. Now, for example, here I'm writing paragraph number 2. What informations are missing? For example, you collected the data. Data on mortality is there. Maybe data on healthcare utilization is there. Maybe the data on prevalence is there. But some studies are small. Some studies are very local. Very local means small hospital or university or community program or something like that. Mortality is there, but morbidity is not there. Or maybe significant impactful number are not there, so p-value is not coming significant. There are many things, right? Those things you can identify what informations are missing, what informations are missing, and that information will go in paragraph number 2. For example, according to XYZ et al, the risk of, let's say, the risk of COVID-19 increased the risk of stroke by 1.6 folds, right? But whether COVID will leads to stroke by direct effect on vessel wall or by effect by increasing inflammatory marker, or by complication like SIDS, like DIC, like septic shock, whether these are the trigger of stroke by this way. So we do not know. For example, the information on this is there, but information on this is missing. And our goal, so then you can say then our goal is to identify if there is any relation between these two, and if there is any relationship between these two. So basically you are identifying the missing information. Basically you will be identifying what informations are missing, and then you can create your aim of your study. Then you can create your aim of the study. But paragraph number 2 will always focus on the information those are missing. Paragraph 2 will focus on always the information those are missing. And the paragraph number 3. So now most of the time what happened, most of the time problem in the study is this: either they are small in sample size, or there are many informations are missing. Maybe they have mortality, prevalence, this, they do not have morbidity, they do not have disability, maybe they do not have probably whether the patient discharged to home versus other non-home facility like rehab facility. They might not have this detail. So you can plan your project in that way, right? So this is something you will be writing in paragraph number 2. And paragraph number 3, you will be focusing exclusively in this paragraph if you are performing the study, that is filling the gap, in the past information. If you are designing a study that is filling the gap in the past information, then how it will be useful, for future studies. So basically you are telling them that this information was there, this information was missing. Now we want to find out this 1, 2, 3 missing, or 1 missing or 2 missing information. And if we find out, it will help either to mitigate the risk or to have more information on this particular condition, or will reduce the cost of burden, or will reduce the healthcare utilization, whatever. But how it will be useful. So that will be the part of your paragraph number 3, how it will be useful to the future study. And that paragraph again will mention, so my primary aim, so let's say in COVID, if I know it will affect the vascular wall, or it will increase the biomarker, or because of complication of COVID there is a stroke, then it will be helpful for the resources allocation, right? You allocate the resource when you have limited resources. So now primary aim of my study is to find out prevalence, let's say, of COVID-19, because you know COVID-19 and strokes prevalence, but you do not know the prevalence of COVID-19. Let's say, in case if you don't know that prevalence of COVID-19 and stroke triggers, let's say stroke triggers, find out that. Secondary, in our hospital data, in COVID-19, who is having stroke, we are going to check the brain biopsy and see the vessels are having virus or not. Third, tertiary aim, let's say tertiary aim of my study, that we are going to evaluate the biomarker, inflammatory biomarker, and see if biomarker is just elevated and histopathology is negative, let's say, then only inflammation is sufficient for COVID-19 to create acute ischemic stroke or not. Very simple, very effective. So then you will be writing primary, secondary and tertiary aim. So this is how you write your introduction into simple 3 paragraph. Paragraph number 1 is previous study, paragraph number 2 is missing information, paragraph number 3 is how it will be helpful in future with aims and objective. In the beginning, make sure you upload the web links so that it will be easy for other people in your team to look those web links, so that you don't have to worry about. And later on, you can cite all those web links with introduction and discussion, everything together. The only section of the manuscript where there is a very high risk of plagiarism is introduction. So make sure you change the words of introduction so that there will be no problem of plagiarism. Because if the plagiarism is more than 30%, you're gone. Okay? Method will never have plagiarism. Result will never have plagiarism. Discussion might not have plagiarism, depend on how you are writing. But introduction is high likelihood to have plagiarism. Okay? So this is all about introduction part. Any question? I hope it's not that much overwhelming, but we are trying to cover each day, each session one, so it will not be that much of overwhelming to you people. Any question? If you have any question, let me know, and probably we'll try to meet around 3:30, 4 between 3:30 to 4, probably every weekend, every Saturday. So we will have all this thing introduction covered as soon as possible. Okay. Let me know if you have any concern. Write me in chat box, and otherwise you can visit the website and you can put it there. So I'll make sure I'll respond.